Ready to manifest the money, business, and life of your dreams? Do you wish you had more ease and flow in your business, your finances, your relationships, and everything else? There's a way to manifest simply, easily, and effectively without exhaustion, and I'm here to show you how. Hey there, I'm Elise McDowell, money mindset mentor and seven-figure CEO. And in this podcast, I will teach you how to reshape your money mindset, manifest consistent money, increase your business sales, transform your self-concept, and create the life of your dreams through the power of your mind. I'm here to help you go all in on you so you can go big in everything you're here to do. Let's get into the show. I think this is going to be the episode of the year. This is the episode that is truly going to lay the foundation for you to have the most incredible year manifesting everything you want in your life. And what we're talking about in this episode is about receiving mode and how to live in it permanently. Because believe it or not, you actually can. But it isn't this like do a couple of techniques for a couple of days and you're going to manifest everything you want. No, this is like the big kahuna, like the real deal shit of how to manifest what you want. I get so many people emailing me and sharing in the Facebook group when they're joining the Facebook group that they feel like they've tried everything, they've done everything, they do all the techniques, they have like a 5-hour manifestation routine that they do every day, and it's not changing. And I'm going to tell you why in this episode. So there are 7 rules for living in permanent receiving mode. I want to talk about receiving mode specifically because we are not very good at receiving. That's the truth. We're not very good at receiving. We are not trained well to receive. We're trained well to give. We're actually trained well to overgive. But receiving can be a little bit awkward or a little bit uncomfortable, or it can be out of balance, right? And honestly, it's because we're control freaks. We want to know what's happening. We want to make sure that we have figured out every possible idea, solution, or whatever. Especially if you're a business owner, you want to know every moving part. You want to control every part of it. And receiving is like the opposite of that. Receiving means letting go and allowing it to come to you. And if you're a business owner, specifically, allowing shit to come to you and not hustling your ass off is quite a shift in mindset. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's just going to show that we have been kind of conditioned and trained to be a certain way. So going against that, literally trying to do the opposite of that, we're going to have a little bit of pushback. But this is okay. We are highly malleable. Everything can change. We can create whatever we want. So let's get into the first rule for living in permanent receiving mode. Rule number 1, receiving is an attitude. It's an attitude, and an attitude is defined as a settled way of thinking or feeling about something. In this case, it's about you as someone who always gets what she wants, and not in like a conceited way where you get it over everyone else and other people have to suffer in order for you to get it. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, receiving is an attitude. You get what you want. You always get what you want. Every single person has the ability and capability to get everything that they want, but they have to begin to see themselves that way, right? And a lot of us have really dug into the victim mentality, the woe is me, that I never get what I want mentality. I have, my God, I was living that way for years. But in order to actually manifest, actually receive, actually have a deliberate, conscious life, living the way that we want intentionally, we've got to change our attitude, and our attitude towards receiving, our attitude towards allowing things to be easy, our attitude towards saying thank you, our attitude towards living in gratitude because we always get it all. Now, when you think about that, when you really think about the logistics of it, what would come up if you've never experienced that before? It would be doubt. It would be mistrust. It would be feeling like it's a little bit too good to be true. That's the problem. Right? This is a conditioned way of thinking, and this is what we have to go beyond. I want you to think about it like this. Receiving is an attitude, and an attitude is like putting on a new outfit. So if you were to put on this outfit of being in permanent receiving mode, what would you think, feel, and say about yourself as someone who naturally always receives what she wants? How would you feel? What would it look like? What would always receiving what you want look like right now? How would you actually feel? And I want you just to imagine it for a second and rearrange yourself into a position that makes you feel like you are there. Now, I want you to think about that. Did you change your posture? Did you hold yourself in a different way? Because what you'll notice is when you start to take on a new attitude, you start to carry yourself differently. And right now, what you just did in that exercise, you're showing yourself what living in a state, living in an attitude of permanent receiving feels like in your body. For me, when I think about it, when I think about always being in receiving mode, always allowing things to come to me easily, literally just sitting here, my arms are open, my whole chest is open. It's like my heart is open. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to be guarded about. I am fully open to receive, and my body is open to receive. This is how I want you to look at adapting an attitude of receiving. It's literally about opening your energy up and knowing what you would think, feel, and say now that you're naturally someone who always receives what she wants. Rule number 2, it's already in the quantum field. Everything you want is already in the quantum field. It already exists. Neville Goddard says creation is finished. Every single thing, every possibility, every idea, everything is already created. It already exists in the quantum field. Now, the quantum field can have different names for all of us. We can call it the 0 point field. We can call it the universe. We can call it 5D. We can call it God, but it's all the same thing. The quantum field is the place that everything you want lives. And in order to bring the things that you want out of it and into physical reality, meaning into the 3D reality, taking from the 5D to the 3D, you must transcend your own mind, your own emotions, your own thoughts, your own feelings. You have to go beyond it to go and live in this quantum field. And living in the quantum field means what? Living in the state of the wish fulfilled, living in the end. That's what it means to be in the quantum field. And Joe Dispenza talks about this, where you're becoming more energy and less matter, right? The more that you become energy, the less matter you become. And this is how a lot of his students are able to heal a lot of their illnesses, grow back body parts, manifest amazing things, because they are spending more time in the quantum field. They are spending more time in that void, right? Which is living in the end, being a different person. They have gone beyond themselves, their human selves, and they are now living more in the quantum field. So how you want to approach this is you want to start getting to a place where you are walking in 2 different worlds, right? You have 1 foot in the 5D and you have 1 foot in the 3D. But I always say you're leaning a bit more towards the 5D so that you're a little bit there a bit more, right? This is what I mean about transcending your own mind. You are walking between 2 different worlds. And how you want to get is not to a place where you've just like completely abandoned the 3D. That's not the point. It's that you want to get so well trained, so well disciplined in living in the 5D, embodying yourself, who you want to be in the 5D, living that life with the things that you want and truly knowing and feeling them as done and yours now, so that when you do come back into the 3D world and you go and walk about in it and go live your life in it, you are still tethered to the 5D. You're still kind of there. Even though you're present in the 3D, you're more energy and less matter. Everything already exists in the quantum field because everything is complete in the quantum field, right? This field is oneness. There is no separation. There is no lack here. It is oneness. Therefore, everything already exists. Everything is already accessible. So when you come into this field, when you are here, when you are spending more time in this world, in the 5D, in the quantum field, you are instantly in the manifestation. You're instantly in the end. And when you can get really good at this, is that you just live there permanently. There's no wanting. You don't want anything anymore. You don't desire. And that's not a trick to be like, well, now you don't want it, so you don't get it in the 3D because you feel like you have it. No, that's not how it works. When you feel and know that it's done, it's yours in the 5D, it must transfer into the 3D. That's how this works. It always transfers to the 3D. So what I want you to think about is, if everything you want already exists, and if you can access it now instantly and have it now instantly, why aren't you going there all the time? Why aren't you doing it? Why are you spending more time in lack? Spending more time in the 3D? Spending more time being separate? Why are you there? Because the truth is, the 3D is lack. Because in the 3D, when you determine that you want something, you have a desire, you've already determined you don't have it. You've already started from lack. So if you're starting off straight out of the gate from lack, and then you go out in the 3D and do 3D things to try and achieve it, the whole experience is lack. The whole experience is coming at it from separation and lack. But when you go into the 5D, it's done. It's finished. you're complete, you're satisfied, it's whole. And that's what transfers into the 3D. But if you're just staying in the 3D, trying to make 3D shit happen with 3D actions, it's always harder, it always takes a long time, it's always extremely taxing, and there's always sacrifice. Which one do you want? Like, if you really want to manifest your dream life, like everything, like wild shit, if you radically want to change your life, why aren't you spending more time in the 5D? That's what I want you to think about. Rule number 3 is, the answer is always yes. The answer is always yes. Everything you persist in is yes. Okay, I want you to listen to that. Everything you persist in is yes. It's not everything you want is yes, it's everything you persist in. So, even if you have been wanting millions of dollars or a rockin' hot bod or Egyptian cotton sheets, whatever it is, if you've been wanting it, but you've been persisting more in the fact that you don't have it, it's yes. It's like, yep, here you go, here's more. Every single thing that you persist in, the universe, God, the quantum field can only say, yes, here you go. So your job is to make sure you know what you're persisting in at any time. I think it's always quite a shock when you realize how much you're persisting in what you don't want. So in order for you to stop persisting in things that you don't actually want, you have to start persisting in what you do actually want. And what's required here is a little bit of faith, because you don't have the experience of persisting in this new story. You don't have the evidence yet, or not enough evidence for you to fully believe it yet. So you have to kind of sit in this place of faith, of walking by faith and not by sight, that what you want is yours, because you are now persisting in that new story, that new reality, that new outcome. And you have to essentially do it blind until it starts showing up. There's the whole thing that says faith is evidence and substance of things not seen. So therefore, it doesn't matter what you see, what you are seeing with your eyes. What matters is what you persist in. You are guaranteeing outcomes through what you persist in. So I want you to pay attention to what you're persisting in and start changing it, and realize that there's going to be an uncomfortable period where you don't know if it's working. You don't believe it yet. You don't have faith yet. You haven't built that muscle, but you must keep persisting, because the answer is always yes. Let's get to mastery level at persisting in what we actually want. Rule number 4, if you're trying to make shit happen, you're doing it wrong and you're taking the long road. Here's a question for you. If you took your hands off everything you were trying to make happen and manifest right now, if you took your hands completely off it and you stopped doing any of it in the physical reality, would you have complete trust, faith, and calmness knowing that it was all still going to unfold for you because your knowing is stronger than what your eyes could see? Would you? Would you truly trust and have faith and know that it was still unfolding for you because your action didn't matter? The truth is, most of you will be saying no. And this is the control freak thing I was talking about at the beginning. It is compensating for lack of faith. It's compensating for lack of alignment. It's compensating for a lack of connection to the quantum field, or to the universe, or to God. Because if you're trying to make shit happen in the 3D, it means you're trying to change matter with matter, right? It's really hard grinding stuff. You're trying to make it all happen in the 3D on your own. But the truth is, when you're doing this, you're not in your right mind. You are not connected. This is when you have to transcend yourself. You have to go beyond the actions you're taking. You have to go beyond the thoughts you're thinking. You have to go beyond the feelings you're experiencing and go back to the field. Go back to God. Go back to the universe. You have to go back to that oneness. Go back to seeing yourself in your desired outcomes. One of my favorite ways of looking at it, instead of just saying living in the end, go live in the end, go live in the wish fulfilled, is go and be with your desired outcomes and realities now. Go be with them. Go live with them. Don't think of them. Go and be with them. Completely immerse yourself in the experience. And you can do that by engaging your imagination. You can do that by sitting down and meditating. You can do that by opening up your journal and scripting or writing or journaling. You must go and be with them. Stop trying to force outcomes in the 3D. They don't happen that way. Outcomes come through what you are persisting in. So go and be with your desired outcomes and realities now, and realize that that is how you receive. You are already receiving them when you are with them. Rule number 5, don't even bother if you're not connected to the field first. None of this works if you're not connected. None of this works if you're not in your right mind. None of this works if you haven't transcended yourself. None of this works if you're just staying in the 3D, living in lack, living in fear, and not trying to go beyond it. None of it works. So don't bother trying to manifest anything if you're not connected first. You have to drop in. You have to tune in. You have to connect in, plug in to the field. And the best ways I know how to do that is through meditation, visualization, and through scripting. So this is what I want you to do every single day. Take time to connect in and do it before you get up and do anything else. You can do this within a couple of minutes. If you like to do it longer, you can obviously do it for longer. But in order to connect, you have to slow down. You have to go beyond your thoughts, right? And so in meditation, they teach you how to do that by noticing the gap between thoughts and expanding them. This is one way you can do it. But you have to learn to go beyond yourself, because once you go beyond that, once you go beyond the chatter, the monkey mind thoughts, and you go beyond the feelings, and you go into that spaciousness, that void, that place where there is nothing, but there's everything, that's when you're connected. That's when you're tuned into the field. And from that place, that's when you can create. And you don't have to take any actions. All you have to do is sit there and be in the field and be with your desired outcomes. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that beautiful when you think about it? Rule number 6, once again, is stop trying and connect to the field. Because I know you. I know what we're like. I know we'll do it for like 5 minutes, 5 seconds, 5 days, and then we'll go back to trying to make shit happen in the 3D again. We're creatures of habit. We're trained to do this. We're conditioned to do it. So we're going to try and go back and do what was comfortable, but not getting us results. This is where I want you to surrender. When you are trying yet again in the 3D and you're trying to force things, trying to make things happen, and you are feeling like it's not working, you're feeling like it's too hard, you're feeling like you don't know what to do, this is when you again sit down and go back into the field. Go back into your connection with the universe, with God. Go back there. This is the only place that can save you. This is the only place where actual change can happen. If you've been trying to manifest things for years and things haven't really happened in the way that you want, or they're really, really sporadic, it's because you're not really connected. You do it periodically. But I swear on my life, when you connect into this and you start living here, you start living in this quantum field more than you engage with the 3D, you become an ultimate receiver. So this is what I want you to think about this, is that anytime there's fear, anytime there's anxiety, anytime you are starting to feel those awful feelings that are pulling you back into the old way, back into the old story, back into the old self-concept where you don't get it, you're the victim, nothing ever works, the future looks really fucking grim, I want you to disengage from that and go connect into the field. Go connect with God. Go connect with the universe. Go to the quantum field. Go to your end desired results. Because everything you want already exists in that field. Remember this. It already exists. It's there. So go be with them. And I want you to ask yourself, where do I need to stop trying? Where am I doing too much? Where am I taking far too much action to compensate for my lack of faith, lack of alignment, lack of connection to the field? Where do I need to slow the fuck down or stop? And then rule 7 is, with God, all things are possible. Now, this is a phrase from the Bible. It's something like, with man, things are impossible, and with God, all things are possible. But this absolutely blew my mind when I understood this recently. When you are in the quantum field, you are in the place of unlimited potential, the place of complete possibility where everything is available to you. When you are in the quantum field, you are with God. That is where God lives. God is in the quantum field. God is the quantum field. And when you go and live in the quantum field, more and more, you are with God. And when you are with God, all things are possible. Do you get it now? When you are with God, all things are possible. When you are in the quantum field, you are with God. And so every potential, every possibility, every outcome is available to you. And you get to basically select which ones you want and transfer them into the 3D based on what you're persisting in. When you're in the 3D and you're not connected, you're not walking around still plugged into God, into the quantum field, you are now in lack. You are now in the illusion of separation. You are now trying to do things on your own without God. But when you connect, you are back with God, and with God all things are possible. How amazing is that? This is how you live in permanent receiving mode. Is you must transcend yourself, transcend those emotions, those feelings, those day-to-day thoughts that just like eat away at you. The repetitive chatter in your mind, you must transcend that by going to be with God in the quantum field, because that is how you live in permanent receiving mode. When you can train yourself into the experience that it's always done, discipline yourself knowing that it's done, that you're walking by faith and not by sight, and then you can come back into the 3D world and still be interacting with it, but now you are deeply connected into that field because it's within you. That is how you live in permanent receiving mode. That is how you truly manifest everything that you want. Do you see how deep this really is? Now you got to ask yourself the question, have you been going that deep? Have you been living there? Have you really truly been with God this whole time? Have you truly been in oneness? Have you truly been connected into the field? I know you're going to say no, which means that explains why you're not manifesting and haven't been manifesting what you have wanted for so long. But that's an incredible thing to know, because now you know exactly what to do. Now you know how serious this is. Now you know how deep this is. And now you know how profound and powerful this is. This isn't just about getting shit. This is about becoming the ultimate creator of this one wild and precious life that you have. Do you see what I mean when I say this is the episode of the year? This is going to lay the foundation for your entire year to get everything you want. Anytime you start freaking out, you start worrying, you start going back into anxiety, fear, unworthiness, you come back and you listen to this episode and you remind yourself to go and be with God. Go and be with the field. Go get back into the 5D and allow it all to come to you. Allow yourself to move into permanent receiving mode, because you will. You will. Trust me, when you live there, when you become so good at living there that you're walking in the 3D, still connected to the 5D, you will see how fast you manifest everything, and anything that you want. Okay? All right, my gorgeous friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't yet, I have a resource library called the Abundance Vault. It's totally free. It's got like 20 plus money mindset manifestation resources. I highly encourage you to go out and sign up for that. If you loved what you listened to today, I highly recommend getting on the waitlist for the Girls That Manifest Academy, because it's going to blow your friggin' mind when when enrollment opens and you get into that program. And then, of course, if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the show and leave a review. I want to thank you so much for listening today, and I will catch you in the next episode.